Because of the rookie salary cap, this didn't used to be the case, but because of the rookie salary cap, teams can make a decision to move on pretty quickly from these quarterbacks, as opposed to if you feel you've made a mistake, you have sort of are saddled with that for 5 years as you chase that player. So with that thought in mind, Neek, what do you think of the idea of teams moving on quickly from young quarterbacks?
I mean, I love it. I think that when you are selecting a leader, which is what the quarterback is, the leader of your team, you don't need 4 years to know that someone is bad at their job. You can figure that out pretty quickly, and the sooner you move on, the better off you will be. I think I was a little bit put off by the Cardinals moving on from their first-round pick of Josh Rosen to go with Kyler Murray, because in my mind I was thinking, man, do you really know what that guy is? But if you have him in practice every day and you have him playing in NFL games, you should be able to determine whether he's your guy or not, and you should not let the fact that you made a decision last year inhibit you from making a better decision this year going forward to build your team. So while I don't like it for the player necessarily, I like it as a decision. You don't want to go after this sunk cost fallacy, chasing after a bad decision that you already made.
I get that part of it. There is another side to it, though, D. Wood, and that is I'm old enough to remember a time when developing a quarterback took longer than 1 year, that you couldn't decide. Maybe, yes, maybe there are unique circumstances where you can watch a guy for 1 year in practice and say, okay, he's never going to be the guy. And then you've made just a horrendous mistake in the draft. But how about the idea, D. Wood, that 1 year is not enough time to evaluate a quarterback in the NFL today or at any point?
Sure, Granny, I can buy some stock into that. But hey, listen, with all the other players on this right now on this panel, the one thing we know is you can't fool the players. And Domonique brought the point about practice and all the things behind the scenes. That's the things that we don't really see, but the coaches and everyone who evaluates these players, they see day in and day out. One of the biggest qualities that you have to have at the quarterback position is being a leader of men. So if you got a guy and you see in practice that guys aren't responding to on game day, guys just not rallying around, that you can get that indication really quick. So I actually applaud the Arizona Cardinals saying, you know what, with Josh Rosen, this is not working. Let's go with Kyler Murray. And look what's happened with the Arizona Cardinals right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. David Pollack, I wanted to ask you a slightly different question because much of this conversation is based around Trevor Lawrence. People are talking about him like he's a generational talent. And so any team that might be in a position to draft him, you might say, well, that's an obvious one. But Justin Fields feels like he's coming on strong to me. Is that another quarterback who should be talked about in the same conversation?
Yes, and I know Trevor, according to a lot of people, has separated himself and one of the best prospects they've seen in a while. If you're not watching Justin Fields through a couple games this season, you're missing out. It's a daggum treat, man. He is on fire.
Double
and
daggum.
They are aggressive and the ball's coming out quick, and the ball's coming out accurately. The ball's spread all over the football field. And by the way, in the new NFL, when you're seeing more quarterback runs and more quarterbacks being successful because they can buy time and make decisions, dude, he can do that as well. So I do think that Justin Fields is coming on strong. And listen, I know Trevor didn't play last week. It has nothing to do with Trevor not playing. It has everything to do with Justin Fields, his accuracy, his decision-making, his build, his thickness, his ability to run. I still think when I'm comparing him, he's a more athletic Dak Prescott. So if I'm looking for a guy like that to build my future around, I think that's pretty daggum solid.
No question. That's 3 daggums, by the way. But one very quick follow-up. I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. Are you telling me that if you were making the pick, you would consider taking Fields ahead of Lawrence as right now?
Yeah, I would start considering that now from what I'm seeing so far. And again, we're only 2 games in for Ohio State, but he's definitely on track to me to just making this decision a lot more difficult than we thought it would be before the season.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.